Well, hello everybody, it's Chris with Click Team, and we're doing another Reactor stream today. We're going to do it a little early simply because we have a holiday here in the US, and I've been told I need to be done early. So we're going to work on the level editor again some more today. I did some things to it over the week for us to take a look at, and then we're going to play Dreamstones after, a new game by Windybeard, which is outstanding. All right, so what did I do to the level editor? Last time we were doing it, we added a very basic set of functions. We allowed it to create a grass tile and a dirt tile. Not a whole lot going on. And someone had asked about parallax scrolling. Congratulations, I got parallax scrolling going, and it looks pretty good. The secret was, and I tried all sorts of different mathematical formulations to try to work the saving and loading exactly the same of the parallax scrolling, and it turned out, as it so often not does, I just needed to make sure I set the camera back to the initial default setting. So let me load my world real quick to show you what we're talking about. So currently we're just loading save, and as you can see, I've been building a save file. Now when I scroll, right, I'm loading the world as I have it, and when we're placing objects in the screen outside of that area, so let's see if we can't get it to match exactly right. So I put an object here, an object here, object here. When I was saving it before, it wouldn't load correctly. It would be off-putting. So the default setting should be this, from 0, 0 up the top corner of the screen. So now when we save it, even if I'm all the way over here, let's just say we're over here, the routine now is when you save the level, it defaults back to 0, 0 for the camera so that everything is the appropriate amount of distance from the 0, 0 point of the upper left-hand part of the screen. I added far background, near background, gameplay layer, and foreground, and you can see those over here. I also have a fifth layer, which we'll explain in a second, and our HUD, where we're storing all our interface elements. The reason I did that is we wanted more parallax to be shown, and the way the engine will be built when I post it to the Reactor and Click Store is you can add as many as you want. But that's up to you. But you know, I didn't want to spend hours upon hours upon hours adding 52 different layers, but one could if you wanted to. So again, let's load our level. We will load level, save file. So I've made this kind of garbagey looking level here. And some of the other things I added is currently the snap to set to 32 by 32. And what I did do is allow you to, through some menu options up here, to change that. So now we can make it 16 by 64 if we wanted to. And now you see we got a totally different type of snap to. And what's interesting about doing the snap to is I'm using the dialog object, dialog box. And one thing from a previous project I worked on, one thing that irritates me about the dialog box, and I should probably talk to my friends at Click Team about how to fix it, is I can't load text into these interface elements. I can't load text directly into, let's say this one, I edit EDT1, which is one of these edit boxes. One of these edit boxes. You can't just load text like you do a regular edit box. So what I had to do is I had to do a workaround, which I think would be interesting to show you. So what we've done is, let's go to the appropriate area, and we're talking about grid settings. Okay, so in my grid settings, and I'm going to go to the list view object, list view. So the menu option change grid is selected, and when that happens, what I'm doing now is I'm taking my global values, grid X and grid Y, one at a time. I take grid X, I load it into the edit box, and then I save that externally to gridx.txt. And let's see here, Reactor, open source, and level editor. So we got grid X right here. So last time we had that number, it was 16. And then we do the same thing for Y, which is right here, and I believe we had it at 64. Great. Now the reason we do that is because I can load text into those boxes from an external source. So that's what this command here is. So we go to edit box, load text, you identify the control name, and then using an expression we say app path string plus, and I believe we called it grid x text. So that looks for the file in the exact same path that the editor is in and loads that text. Now, so that's how it works. And we did the same thing for Y, and then you open the editor. So you get this effect here, and we get the editor open. Now, for some reason, it didn't load it correctly, 32 by 32. Let's double check. That seems to be a potential bug. Thought I had that open already. There it is. Reactor, open source, level editor. Yeah, so now it's 32 and 32. And the reason for that is, and it makes total sense, is I haven't loaded that data into my globals, and the globals always default to 32 by 32. So I guess we should fix that, right? So we'll do insert comment load initial snap2, and we'll give it the old insert new event start a frame. Frame part, start a frame, insert comment, divide it up. All right, so here we're going to file. We're going to load a text file, and using an expression, app path string plus grid x point text. So that will load that into the edit box, the one I'm using to pass data. And then on that same line, we go here, change a global value. We set grid x to a value. So we're going to convert a string to a value because we're only storing string inside the edit box. And then that should cover it. Now to test it, we'll go back to our Reactor folder. I should probably leave this folder open. This is like the 4th time I've opened it. So let's change this to 128. So we'll save it. We'll run it. Let's see if it works. So we've ran it. It should have automatically populated. We go to the global values in the editor. There it is, 128. So that works. So now all I have to do is copy, change it to Y, copy, put it down, order of operations, set it to Y, and then that should cover both. So let's change Y. Oh, I closed it again. Someone told me to quit closing it. Oh, not that folder. All right. Grid Y. We'll change that to 128 as well. All right, now we run it. And now when I load my settings, I should get 128 by 128. Change it to 32 by 32. And then now we're set back to 32 by 32. And the setting occurs when we select OK, which if you've ever used these dialog box objects, which are really cool, you're able to identify a button automatically with an OK dialog, which triggers, when you do that, the option to dialog close by OK. And then you can select cancel or close by other button. And close by other button, then you'd have to identify the control name like we did the edit box, which is EDT1. So there you go. That's how we're doing the grid settings. And then we have some other settings I did. So another one is the background color. And so using the color selector, we can pick a color, and it changes the background color. Go with a blue, and then we get a blue background. And the way that works, real simple. I downloaded into Fusion through my manager. I typed in color, and I selected the, I believe it's color dialog object, or maybe the other one. Let's see which one I used. One is an older one that has a pop-up that's kind of annoying, so I didn't use it. Color selector. And then color selector, I put it off screen. because if you leave it on screen, it looks like this, and I didn't want it to interfere with the look of the editor, so I put it off screen. And basically, again, when we use the menu option, change grid selected, we then open the module, and of course that's the wrong one, it's down here. And then, pick the background color, that's how we get that. And then I set the X position of the color dialog and to the left frame, X left frame, and the Y top frame. That way, no matter if I've scrolled, it'll still appear exactly where I want it. And then I show the color pop up. Once a color pickup has been closed, we then set the background color to get color. It's a direct conversion. You don't have to do any get RGB calling. You can just pull get color, and Fusion picks it right up. And the benefit there is when you're editing, I can, load my level. And then I can pop in a color and, help you edit. Later, before I post it next week, I'll probably allow you to add a background image. Let's see if we have any questions so far. Someone was promised salt. I don't know how to work with that, so I'm sorry that you were supposed to get salt. It might be Eve's. And hello to the person from Kazakhstan. That's awesome. Welcome. And hello, Null. How you doing? And if you guys have any questions or suggestions on the editor, please let me know. I'll check every once in a while here and see what people are saying and see if we can add something. Oh, I see. Yeah, we're going to get to the Dreamstorms game. Just have patience. All right, the other thing I wanted to do was to try to increase the speed of the save and the load. So let's look at our load events. Right now our load events are structured that it automatically detects if the list object has greater than X number of lines. If it does, then execute. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all this on a fast loop. We're going to say on loop load level. Let's see if this works. I'm going to drag that into each one of these lines. This is a case where I'm experimenting with you online, so I apologize in advance. And then we'll say here, and then we'll say fast loop, start loop, load level, and of course we want to do it the number of lines we have in the list. So get number of lines, and then because the loop is 0 based, we may have to +1. We'll find out in a minute. Let's go ahead and put our list that we load from and make it visible so we can make sure that we're seeing everything. Run the editor, file, load level, pick save. Let's hide this so we can see. And boom, loaded it right up. And it didn't miss a beat, got every single item. So now that works a lot faster and looks a lot cleaner. We can do the same thing for save. So save data on group activation, pick one of the items, destroy it, write the data. Not too big of a deal. We'll leave that there, and then we'll say start a new event. No, save data. Yeah, let's do 2. So new event on group activation. Should work. And then we'll say fast loop, save level, and number of loops. That would be number of objects left. All right. And then we create our fast loop here. The condition for save level. I think that's the word I used. Let's make sure it is. All right. So we'll load our level because we know that works. And then we'll add something new. So we'll put a couple couple of these boxes here, because you gotta have boxes. And then we'll save it. Let's see if it works. Now it seemed to dump all the data in here. And let's see if it caught the boxes, because they would be, I believe, item 4. And I'm not seeing them in there. So we'll reload the level. And it didn't grab the boxes, so that's interesting. We got to figure out why that didn't happen. So boxes are tile number 3. And let's make sure that we've covered all our values. Yes, 3. The tile box is 3. And okay, so now what I want to do is, again, go through all of this good stuff that I should have left open yet again. And we'll go to our save file. Now, I should have, well, look, I got a 5 here. Shouldn't have a 5. So let's see how many of those 5s out there are. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3. Interesting. Select box tool. That's got to be these guys then. So if this is 3, then we should be looking for edit, find 3. No 3s. So it didn't save it. Didn't actually write it to the game. So the first thing we got to do is make sure that we're creating it. And we are. Create tile box from the cursor. So we know we're creating the data, the actual object, and it's got the right tile number. Then if list item equals 3, then create set. But you know what, there doesn't seem to be a save data for this, but we shouldn't have to, because save data picks it up automatically. Now, is it possible that it doesn't have the qualifier? No, it has a qualifier. So let's try it again. This time we will just create nothing but boxes. All right. File save level. And it wrote the data. Okay. Now let's go to our folder again that I keep closing. What is my deal? Okay. Level editor. Save. Interesting. So it didn't save the information. So somewhere along the line, we're not saving. So now we're getting closer to the debugging. And let's take a look. And there it is. I shouldn't be on loop there. So let's try it again. So what happened is on loop, it was trying to save when it equals 0. That I don't believe should be on the fast loop. It should just trigger once we've iterated through all of the reference points. And let's make sure we're, yeah, okay, good. So run it, file, load the level, and then we'll go ahead and select our cheesy gold boxes, reset our grid back to 32 by 32, and we'll have to make sure it writes again. There we go. And now we can put our boxes here. I'll put that in the background. It should have been in the gameplay layer, but who's keeping track, right? And then we'll save the level. Let's search for 3s. There's 1. And then we should be good. So file, load level, save, and boom, we fixed it. Now, we do have a problem here. If I scroll, you can see that I have boxes in the background. We shouldn't have boxes in the background. So we need a delete routine. This is one thing I haven't done yet. Before I show that to you, let me show you how I did the side menu. So all my box selection items are on the HUD level. And I have this nice big bright green active object, which I need to name. And we'll call it tile tray. And then I have this active up here in the top corner. And we'll name that tray opener. Should name everything. And then we're going to name this list object. Save and load. Wonderful. And name that while I'm at it. I'm on a naming trip. Test. Cool. Oh. There we go. Okay. So what I did here is you don't want the tray in the way of you when you're trying to edit. So I made it auto hide. And the way I did that is by using the layer object, because I don't want to just pop in and out. I want it to be kind of smooth. Layer 5 is always visible and has this detector. I've set layer 5 to not scroll at all. So it's not going to scroll with the rest of the screen. It's always going to start in the default 0, 0 position. So whenever my mouse overlaps the detector, which we have here, the detector flag is off and the mouse point is overlapping it, we turn the flag on. If the flag is on and the alpha channel of that layer, layer 6 being the HUD layer, if it's greater than 0, so transparent or semi-transparent, then we reduce that transparency by pulling the transparency and subtracting 10, and that's how it fades. I thought about doing it on a scale, but I just didn't have time. And then, of course, if the flag's reversed and it is not completely transparent, then we do the reverse and we add to the transparency to make it disappear again. So that's how we pop the tray in and out, which is kind of cool. And then up here, we only create new items on the map as long as layer 6 is completely transparent and layer 7, which is no longer around, so we'll get rid of that. So as long as layer 6 is completely transparent, that you're not overlapping another reference point, which we'll have to fix that because you can be overlapping if they're on the same layer. And we'll have to fix that. And then as long as the mouse pointer is not over group areas, which is these bad boys here, I believe. And that's another issue we'll have to fix. Because if these are, we probably don't need that anymore. Let's test it. So we know that we got a tile here. I'm going to hide, and then I'm going to try to click it, and it looks like it's saved. So we fixed that. And the reason it works now is because the items for selecting which tile you're on are on the same layer as 6, and if 6 is invisible, then we can edit. So that works. All right, so we need to delete. So let's create a delete tile. I'm going to use this guy here, which I haven't messed with yet. We'll drag him down, put him near the bottom. And let's give him a deleting looking effect. Let you know that you're deleting stuff. We'll go with this. We'll go with white. Increase the thickness. Probably a little too thick, but yeah, just keeping track. Line. Let's go with full white. And we'll go here. And then go across. Nice and bold. I want to copy that. And we're going to give that, let's give it tile number -1. Okay. And then let's put that deleting icon here. All right. So I'm going to need a couple additional lines of code here. We're going to call this comment here cursor control. Cursor control. And then if the current layer, no, where do we keep the tile selection? We keep it, I believe, under the cursor. Yes? Yes. So if the selected tile is greater or equal than 1, then the direction is that way. Insert if the value of selected tile is -1. Then we're going to go the other direction. And we'll test that real quick, make sure we're working. So here we go. There we go, and now it's working. Great. Now, how are we going to delete? Pretty easy. We can just say insert group events, delete tile, and then we'll say insert new line. Cursor is overlapping another object, and we will call it group reference point. Insert cursor alterable value. Just drag that up there, that'll do it. And the mouse clicks, user clicks. Then we delete the tile item. Let's see if that works. So we'll load our save. We got our world. Now we know that these were on the wrong layer, and we're on the far background. So I'm going to first get off the far background. Put me on the gameplay layer. I'm going to select the delete tool, and I'm going to delete these. And you can see that it's not deleting because we're not on the same layer. So if I go to the far background layer, it should delete them. And there you go. We successfully created a deleting algorithm. Now I got to figure out what that black's doing there. Or is that, could that be a tile? Let's see. I don't know what that is. That's interesting. It's probably a tile. I think it's one of my tiles. And we can find that out by going here. Close the 32 different notepads I've opened up. I'm sure some people have a lot more notepads open than I do. Hey, look, here are all the level editors that I opened that I thought I closed. All right. So we're looking for 0, 0. There it is. So that's interesting. I'll have to figure out how to delete that. Run. File. Load. Save. And there's our level. And then we'll delete these again. And then file, save level, file, load level. And there we go. I have corrected the error. Excellent. So does anyone have any questions yet on Level Editor? Let's see here. No questions yet. All right. Well, I'm going to continue to work on it and put a couple more features in it. If you guys have any suggestions of what you want on it, send me an email. I'm going to try to make it as universal as I could. Right now it's designed to look like a side scroller, but theoretically you could use the Level Editor for overhead games too. I want to make it as universal as possible. You guys can use it to make your games or just learn from it, whatever works. But message me on the Reactor if you have any suggestions as to what you want me to do with it. But as promised, we're going to go on to some real fun stuff. We're going to play Windy Beard's Dreamstones. Now, I will say Dreamstones based on 200 levels. I'm certain he used a level editor. Wendy, can you comment on that? Did you use a level editor? While he's commenting of whether or not he used a level editor. Oh, we got a question. Yes, sir. Oh, don't worry about the save file. I played for a little while yesterday. I think I put in about 40 minutes so far myself. Maybe not that much. Well, let's find out. Again, Windy Beard, one of our longtime users. This is his third game that he's published to Steam. It's actually very good. My very first game was a Brick Breaker, man, I looked at it after I looked at Dreamstones, and it's been almost 16 years. I wrote it in the Games Factory too. That's how long ago. Dreamstones just got me thinking about all sorts of different cool things I could have done. So really appreciate you getting the creative juices flowing. Thanks. Like I need another project. But anyways, let's run the game. Available on Steam and Game Jolt. Excellent game. I'll go full screen. Or I'm not going to go full screen. Maybe we can do it in the options. I believe we can do it in the options. So we'll go 1-to-1. Nope. Best fit. There we go. Escape doesn't get rid of... Wendy, escape doesn't get rid of the options screen. Can I click options? Oh, there you go. Okay. You got me. So in Dreamstones, you're basically... It is a brick breaker, but he is lacquered on a ton of RPG elements and a building mechanic. So the poor, I believe they're called Dreamweavers, have been pushed out by the Nightlings off their wonderful land here that you see, and all their buildings completely destroyed. And it's your job to help them by collecting Dreamstones and rebuilding the city, which I've already started. So yeah, I've put in 30 minutes. So let's do that. And can everybody hear? Okay, good. So I've got 3 buildings so far. I've got the Cantaran's Bazaar. It's a hall of exotic food vendors selling strange meals from carts. And as I'm hungry, that sounds pretty good. Then there's the initial building that you built, Gentle Kenneth, who guides you through the game, his famous item shop. And then I've built the Blacksmith's building, which allows you to craft the finest weapons in all of the land. Currencies in the game are the Dreamstones and your gold, which you collect during the levels. You get to the levels by clicking on the exclamation mark here, and you've got these different options, and the one to get to levels is maps. Currently, I've only unlocked meadows. I'm going to enter the map, and you can see that I currently can play these zones. I've played all of these, and I got to the point where it forked for the first time. So after playing this board, I now have the option of diverging off into 3 different paths. Let's see if Wendy has any suggestions as to which path I should take while I look and see if there's any questions. I don't see any questions yet. Let me close this ad. Okay, let's see if YouTube has any questions. Nope. Okay, so I don't know. Which level should we go with? We got score targets, number of floors 2 for the Tomato Grove, number of floors 3, number of floors 2. I'm going to go with the Tomato Grove because I noticed when he drew the tomatoes, he gave them ass cracks. I'm just going to say it. That's what he did, and I thought it was kind of funny. So let's see if we can see some more of that. Yep, there we go. That's ridiculous. Well, what are you doing to me, Wendybeard? This is just ridiculous. Let's see if we... Oh, there it is again. What the heck? Okay, so to play the game, your standard brick-breaking affair, one thing I thought was really cool that I hadn't thought of 16 years ago, is he's allowed you to, like most games of the genre, whatever direction the ball hits, wherever on the paddle it hits. So the center of the paddle would shoot the ball straight up, and then the more to this angle would shoot it off that way, and then of course more to this angle shoots the angle more off in a counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. So you have a little control over it, but he took it a step further and allows me to position the ball. I haven't played a brick breaker that has done that before, so I thought that was kind of cool, which allows me to maximize my first shot. So like I could try to take out one of these guys for being inappropriate and not putting some pants on. Now the objective of every level is to get rid of all the purple bricks, which once you do, you can then pass on to the next board, or if you've completed all the boards, then you can go on to the next level. However, being an RPG, which it is, I've noticed that you should probably continue to try to clear the level of everything to collect more coins and get more experience. And I also think it affects your number of Dreamstones you get, because I finally played a board where I only got 1 out of the 2 Dreamstones, and I think it's because I didn't complete everything. He is in chat right now. He could probably confirm that for us. I'm not going to be able to look though, because I need to get rid of these ugly carrot guys and these just positively just lack of humility tomatoes walking around with their butts hanging out. So we got to get rid of them. Now I've collected 2 power-ups so far. I'm going to use the first one, the knife, which you access by pressing the keyboard button. Once you do, you have a cooldown timer, which you'll see on the right. My second power-up is 2 balls. I haven't actually used it yet, just because I really like the knife, because it allows me to specifically target things that I might want to get rid of. For instance, I could try to take out this. Oh! I could take out this box, which allowed me to get rid of 2 more bricks of the purple type. So this board's pretty clear. I think once I get these other purple bricks, we can move on to the next board without fear of losing anything. And boom. So what you do is you move the mouse up when it says go, and then you scroll to the next section of the world that you're in. Now, I don't know if these are bad guys or not. I accidentally hit one, and he kind of got aggressive, so let's see what happens. See, it gets angry, he rams. That's kind of cool. So that helps you, you can use him to break stuff, apparently, which is kind of cool. A lot of detail in the game. Tremendous amount of detail. He worked on the game while streaming on Twitch the entire time, so he had a lot of feedback early on, and, you know, it shows. I've wondered if he would be able to do mobile. We do provide these cool little exporters that allow you to do mobile. Wendy, I wonder if you could put this on iOS so I can play it on my iPad. Maybe. Thought for you. The dogs seem to like the idea. They bark about it. My dogs are real gamers, seriously. And if you believe that, I've got more stories I can tell you. Let's go with the double ball. Let's see what happens when we do that. Oh, and what happens is I lose the balls immediately because I can't handle it, apparently. A sad state of affairs for me. Right. Whoa! Now, Wendy, I noticed that. Do you think that potentially when the ball gets trapped here, and I don't know if you're using what your bouncing algorithm is, but it seems to get stuck. Is there any way to maybe push it to the top of the paddle? I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's something you might want to consider. Because it seems like you catch it and then it gets stuck here in the paddle, and you have my experience is a 1 out of 4 chance to get it to push back up, which can be kind of discouraging because you're like, yeah, I got the ball, but then you lose it and you're like, oh man, nah. We'll try the board again. Damn, it's these tomato guys again. I can't get away from him. At least I got him with a critical hit. Oh, there we go, so you're leveled up. Give me the monies. All the monies. Let's see it happen again. Irritating. When I say things like that, does that make me a brick breaker elitist? Is that what I am? Like a hipster of brick breakers? Oh, I bet you that carrot guy is regretting popping up and taking a look. All right, we'll do the double brick again, but once I get it up high. There we go. There we go. Now we're juggling. Well, we were for 2 seconds. Die, tomato. I don't eat tomatoes because if you eat a whole tomato after slicing it, looks like the inside of a heart, and you know I'm not into that. Ever since Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I don't appreciate people who eat hearts, and a tomato looks like the inside of a heart to me, so that's a no-go for me. Now the cooldown, I just noticed the cooldown is a lot longer when I use the double ball, so that's interesting. More strategy. Okay, well I really want to get rid of this carrot guy, so I'm going to hold on. Gotta get that experience points. If only the cooldown was over. Oh, he hit again. This carrot guy's nobody's fool. Come on, get him. Oh. Yes. But I missed the coin. Alright. Next level. Alright. So let's try to break down this TNT. Good job, Chris. I want to get every brick but the one in front of the TNT. Oh, wrong button. Now I'm hurting. Hold it together. Do some damage though. Oh. There you go, finally got it. Boom. Boom. Regard me. Haven't hit that yet. I don't know what that does. What did it do? Maybe it's a speed up brick? We're gonna beat this level. We're gonna beat this level if it's the last thing I do, or I'm just gonna quit after I don't beat it, but you know. It sounds cooler when you say it's the last thing you're gonna do. Oh, there we go. Get in there. Get it. Yes. Yes. Should we stick around and try to kill the carrot? Ooh, that almost cost me. Come on, get the carrot. Yes. Next level, please. Oh, okay, let's see how many dreamstones I got. Yay, 2. And how much gold have I accumulated? 368. Great. So we're going to go back from the map. And then we're going to go back to home. And we're going to spend some monies. So, shop, we can buy weapons. Skills, cast skills that are available that you can deploy. Kind of like I do the knife and split ball. Passive skills, I've already bought one that gives me more gold because, you know, that's the way to go. And then blueprints, which help build more buildings. So I'll buy a blueprint, and you can see it costs me 1 dreamstone. Well, it's 1 dreamstone to build, but it cost me 50 gold to buy. Now, here's the thing I don't understand. If this gentle fellow wants me to rebuild his community, why are you charging me money? But I digress. I guess everyone needs to make a living. So I've bought the blueprint, and then if I go to build, I now have the new building. And it costs me X number of dreamstones, which you can see is down here. Let's build it. Now I have a new building. Yay! So go back to the shops. Let's see if that unlocked anything. I'm still uncertain what the shops do. Let's buy another one while we're at it. And let's build it too. The Waterman's Cave. Cabin. See, now it's starting to look nice. So we've got upgrade options. I don't know what they do. What do we want to upgrade? Let's upgrade this. So, upgrade. And now I get a floating balloon. And did that unlock anything in the shop? No, so I don't quite know what the shops do. The unlocking of the buildings. I'm sure it'll come to me later. Okay, back to the map. And, ooh, look at that. That looks cool. I like the little particle effect you created. That's really cool. Ah, yes, treasure. So here I had unlocked 3 treasure chests, and by defeating this level, I've unlocked another one, and, you know, do I want to open it? Oh, yeah. And I get the dagger, and new blueprint, some cash money, and a new dreamstone. So I wonder if going going back home. Going here. Status. And then what happens if I click here? So I've already got Kanai. So maybe what it did is it allowed me to unlock. No. Cut this. Let's buy it. Let's see what happens. Status. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. There's the red X he told me about. Here, nothing. Oh, here we go. Maybe I'm not allowed to equip it yet. I'm not quite sure. Let me read. He's as I'm running my mouth, he's got a ton of comments here that I haven't read. So let's see what our good friend Lindy Bear has to say. If I can find my mouse cursor. Oh, jeez. Hey, Bear. Get out here. Seriously? Go turn the oven off, please. Yes, General Keith is kind of a jerk. Hit your sword. Click on the weapon. Okay, let's try clicking on the weapon. So we'll go to status, kingdom record. Okay, I've clicked on the weapon. Or maybe he wants me to click on the weapon in my status. Yeah, see, it's, well, see. Do I click on this one? Ah! Aha! There you go. Let's see what the damage is here. 3. Well. How does it use 2 passive slots? Oh, no, it adds passive. Okay, so these change. Okay. And now I only have 1 cast skill. Okay, I see. I see. Cool. So this determines the status of these as well as my overall damage. Cool. All right, that's cool. Excellent. Well, let's take this dagger out for a spin. Let's go to that really cool foresty. Oh, it's a camp. Look at these guys. They're ridiculously having a good time. Woohoo! You visit the campsite and find a group of dream weavers. Inviting them back to your kingdom is a great success, and they gracefully accept. Population plus 10. Wow. Great. Well, this has water in it, so we're going to do this one. Ah, not this guy again. Get out of here, man. Put some pants on. We have some DLC where you put pants on the tomato. Is that an option? I mean, look how grumpy he is about the fact that he doesn't have pants. He's just stomping around, upset. I'd be upset too. Alright. Oh, level up again. I'm a leveler upper. Get in there. Take out those purple little jerks. Boom. I just knocked the top off that mushroom. Shrooms. And another fly bites the dust. I wish fly swatters worked so easy. Is this guy dead? Did he like get stuck? That's alright, buddy. We'll take care of you. We'll get you out of there. We'll get you out of there. Just get rid of this fern tree. There we go. Get out of there. Oh. Gotta recharge. Whoa. See you later. Now you don't have to worry about being stuck. Oh, score reduced. Man. Not only did I lose the ball, but I got my score reduced. Painful. Wendy's just punishing his players. Oh, you want to lose the ball? I'm going to reduce your score. And that's how he rolls. I wonder if that makes Wendy Beard the Stanley Kubrick of video game designers. He wants to hurt folks. Cannon. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, limited shots. Oh, man. But at least it cleared up the innards here. We can get to the next level, potentially. Just gotta get my angles right here. Oh, no. Come on, you can do... Oh, tree. Get out of here with that. The only downside to the Brick Breaker genre as a whole, nothing you can do about it, is... Well, actually, he can. He gave me the throwing item. There we go. Sweet. Okay, so these boards you haven't seen one yet. You have to hit the crystal to remove these destructible blocks, so kind of adds a puzzle element to it. Let's see how good our angling is. Our basic geometry, apparently pretty poor. Get back there. Come on. Oh. You gotta get in there. Tap it. Yes. Alright, one more to go. One more and a carrot. Oh. Okay, let's see if we can get rid of this carrot. Done. Dreamstones, more money. Outstanding. Oh, another camp. Saved more of these just wonderfully happy looking guys. That's great. And so this is Dreamstones. Excellent game. We've played, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of 200 levels. So plenty to do. Check it out. It's on Steam. It's only $11.99, and you'd be supporting a Fusion developer by picking it up. Excellent game. Thank you, Wendy Beard, for the code and allowing us to show it. I'm going to check see if there's any questions. If not, I think that'll conclude today's Reactor stream. Let's see if we have any questions. Let's see here. Okay, so it's something about having to be on bed on time. That's between you and your wife. Pants DLC confirmed. Excellent, thank you. Because those tomatoes with their butts hanging out, it's just wrong. It's truly wrong. And all right, guys. Well, that's it for today's Reactor stream. It'll be up on YouTube soon. We have a review of Wendy Beard's game on the Reactor site as well as a couple free codes for reactants. Thank you, Wendy Beard, for those. Excellent game. Check it out, and I will have the level editor polished up and out by next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. I'll stick around after the stream for a couple more questions if there are any.